What's going on? Can I be seen right now? Say hi. What's up? You know who I am, I think. If you don't, I'm Zach Kane Pole. This is my girl, Angel. She's my sweetest baby. I love her more than I love oxygen. She's my baby. It's just a cute little face. She's probably tired. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning. I was sitting around kind of bored, and I decided that I just wanted to do this thing. I've been thinking about it for a little while, just sitting down and talking to a camera. I used to do it whenever I was in high school. You know, when I was in high school, I spent a lot of my years in high school feeling really misunderstood by the people around me. And I realized, you know, over time that I was just really, really bad under the pressure of other people. I'd always had pretty bad social anxiety. It was hard to be myself around a large group of people that were nothing like me. I always stood out a lot in high school just because, you know, I was different. I was always really self-expressive with the way that I dressed and the hair color and the music that I listened to. And so it was just different than a lot of the people that lived here in the small town of Baxter, Tennessee. So, you know, I was bullied a lot and shit. So it was just hard for me to be myself. So I went home one day and I was like, okay, well, here's something that nobody else does, you know. So I went home, I got my phone, and I just recorded myself. It was like a little vlog, and I'm just talking about myself and my struggles and what I thought about my place in school and my place in the world and the school that I went to and blah, blah, blah. It felt really cool to do that. And then a lot of people came up to me in school and would just, you know, they seemed interested in them. They seemed like, you know, they liked it and enjoyed the video, and they thought it was cool, and they learned something new about me, and they had come to understand me a little bit better through those videos that I'd made. So that's kind of why I did it then. Now, really, I'm just in a place where I get bored. You know, I get back from work and I'm just here alone, and I like to be creative, and it gets, you know, I'm in a band. I used to spend all my time setting out a computer, recording my own music. I would record like a full band just by myself. You know, I would record the drums, I would track the guitar, track the bass, track vocals, stack it all up, and then I would have my music. And I still do that sometimes, but that gets really old and repetitive after a while. I've done that for, say, 8 or 9 years now. Finally got into a band with some guys that I really enjoyed playing with, and so that kind of that does me in musically. So I decided that I might do these videos. I might just do one. I might continue to do them. Really, the biggest reason I believe overall is I just kind of want something to look back at. All of the other videos that I did in high school, once I got a little bit older, I deleted those just because I was ashamed of who I was, and there was nothing wrong with it. Like, I was just being myself, and I guess one day I was in a bad place and I went back and looked at them, and I was like, you know, I watched them and I was like, you know, this is a little bit too real, and I should have just taken them down and kept them myself, but I didn't. I just deleted it, and I really wish I could go back and watch those thoroughly and like see where I was and see like what kind of kid I really was, because I've forgotten really. I haven't gotten to see that. There's like hardly any videos or pictures of me in high school, and like I just want to really go back and like see where I was compared to where I am now, you know. So I'm just gonna kind of do that now. Like, hopefully in a year or 2 or 3 or 10 from now, I could go back and look at this thing and compare it, you know, see how much I've grown. For any of you that don't know me that might have some sort of interest in this thing, please stick around. I appreciate you for sticking through it this far. It might be painful, it might be funny, it might be stupid, I don't know, but I'm here and I'm trying. Probably a lot of boring stuff to come, but hopefully some fun stuff too. I'm just gonna talk about who I am, where I'm at in life, and some goals that I have, some facts about myself. My name's Zach. I have a dog. She's one of my best friends. I'm 21. I'm an Aquarius. I live in Baxter, Tennessee. I've lived in Tennessee my whole life, born and raised right here in Putnam County. Growing up, I used to really dislike where I lived. I didn't really like the country. You know, I wasn't cut out for it. I always felt different than everybody else. And, you know, over time, once I grew up a little bit, I've learned to really appreciate it. The beautiful land. People are really kind here in the South, and you know, the culture's cool, and I've learned to appreciate a lot of the agricultural elements of the state, and you know, I like it. It's home. You know, it's become home, and I've really just accepted that. I've never lived anywhere else. I've never really traveled anywhere too far out from here and spent too much time elsewhere. I've always wanted to go out west. And I plan on doing that pretty soon, hopefully. I've been saying that for a long time, but there's a lot of sights to see. There's a lot of places to go and things to see other than fields and farms and forests and more fields and grass and hay bales. Tennessee boy. What else? Play in a band. We're a psychedelic rock band. We were previously called Sugar Mama. I really don't like that name very much. None of us really did, so we're changing it. Our new name is going to be the Brook House Situation. I don't really know where that came from, but it did come to be somehow, and I think it sounds cool, so I guess we're going to roll with it. I'm an artist. Art is like my language of expression. I like visual art, like cinema, photo editing, photography. I paint. I actually have a couple of pieces up here. Here's one of the pieces. I did that about a year ago. I did that with acrylic. Don't ask who that is. I don't even know. I've got a sketchbook around here somewhere. This is a sketchbook that I had in rehab. 8 months into recovery, which is pretty cool. It's been a weird journey. Definitely worth it so far. Here's some of the art that I have. This, I don't really know. I like psychedelic shit. Like a Joker, but she's like a girl and she's pretty. Another fact about myself is I love the Grateful Dead. That is my favorite band in the world. I don't really like to identify as a Deadhead. Dude, I found this shirt at Walmart today. I was so stoked. I walked into Walmart and I was like, I wonder if they have any Grateful Dead merch. And like I went around the corner and I saw this hanging there and I'm like, oh, super stoked. I've been wanting some of like the Dancing Bears on something, and I found that today. Here's another one. There's me and a buddy of mine. That's me back when I had little baby dreads. That's my buddy. Crazy acid trip or some shit. That's what that's supposed to be, I guess. Oh man, I don't like that. There's something in the camera's way. Yeah, better? Yeah, but there's that. I designed my own brand of cigarettes. It says 20 Class A cigarettes. Cox Aromatics, K-O-K. Some girl, I just like improv'd on that. That's a self-portrait when I was in rehab. Here's an eyeball. If you want to see any of the other videos that I've done, you can like my photos on Facebook, and I have a few of the other ones that I've done on there. They're a little bit more like experimental. You should watch them on psychedelics. That's what they're kind of like made for. You know, growing up in a small town, I always felt different. And I don't know if it's because it's a small town or just because I am who I am. In school, I was surrounded by people that were, to me, the majority of the people that I went to school with were all the same, you know? A lot of them played sports, a lot of them were like grade A students, you know? They all seemed to dress the same, they all seemed to like the same music, and I didn't. And I didn't see that as bad. I didn't dislike anybody for that. What the issue was that I wasn't like that, and I felt like a black sheep. And at the time, I felt like there was something wrong with me because I wasn't the same as everybody else, because I didn't relate to everybody else. I always felt like an outcast, and I'm sure a lot of other kids felt that way too. I had always seemed to have issues expressing myself verbally, really under the pressure of my peers. You know, I started realizing that it was a lot easier to express myself through art and through more creative things, because, you know, it's hard to make friends when you're in a town full of people that, you know, all of these cliques that were into things that I was never really into. I used to make electronic music in high school, and I think I was about 15 or 16. There's a gas station, an old gas station right up the road from where I live here in Baxter. And there was a gentleman named Bill HEROIN that bought it, and he turned it into an art studio and also a music venue. So he would have like hardcore bands come out, or like DJs or rappers, or whatever kind of artists were around, and they would come out and do their shows over there, like 5-minute walk from my house. So I would go over there all the time and hang out and do art and go to these shows. I made electronic music and I had like basic DJ equipment, so I went over there and I did my first rave when I was like 15 or 16. I made little flyers and I passed them out to people at school, and it wasn't a big turnout. I think like 20 kids showed up, but a bunch of my close friends came and some other people came, and we had a lot of fun. You know, it was like totally innocent fun. Like me and my old buddy at the time, one of my best friends, DJ'd a couple of sets. You know, around that time I started to come to terms with who I was. But still around that age, you know, I'd smoked weed for the first time, you know, started experimenting with drugs and substances, and turned out I really, really, really liked them. I liked weed a lot. I liked eating Xanaxes a lot. I liked getting fucked up a whole lot. And, you know, it became a thing where I was doing it before school. I would go into school, come down after like homeroom. I would sit there the whole day just thinking about go home and getting high again, if it was weed or if I had a fucking bottle of vodka hidden in my closet or whatever. And I never really got into anything too bad when I was in high school. I got caught with some weed and I got put on probation whenever I was a teenager. I had to take mandatory drug tests. But me being a stupid teenager, I would smoke weed knowing that I had a drug test in like 2 days. I don't know why, I was just so bad about that. Terrible mindset. So over time, I eventually got in trouble legally more, so I ended up getting put into the TRACS program. And TRACS is kind of like in-school suspension, but all the time. You're in one classroom throughout the whole day. Most of the time you're in a cubicle and your work gets brought to you and you do it and you go home. I hated it. It took away my freedom, it took away my social life. I had finally gotten to a place where I was comfortable around other people. I had finally learned how to make friends. I had finally learned how to socialize, and that got taken away from me. That sucked. So I really just kind of said fuck it, and I lost all my motivation to do anything. You know, I'd take Xanax or a bunch of sleeping pills or whatever I could get my hands on before I'd go into school, and I'd be blitzed, and I'd lay my head down, and I'd wake up in a puddle of drool and a pile of papers next to my desk. I'd slept the whole day away and had not done any of the work. I would leave the classroom at the end of the day, take that pile of paper, throw it in the garbage, go home. Come back the next day, do the same thing. I got to the point where I hated school, I hated my life, and I began to hate myself. I really started drowning it out with whatever I could get my hands on. I didn't care that I was on probation. I ended up just getting in more and more trouble. I eventually got to the point where I got sent off into state's custody. State's custody is like you get taken out of your parents' custody if you're a minor, put into the state's custody. Depending on what your charges are and what you've done, you might get put in level 1 through 4. So level 1 is like you just go to a group home with a bunch of guys. It's almost like a summer camp, and you just go and you live there with these dudes and go to school and just like hang out and do like groups and therapy classes. And then level 4 is like prison for kids. It was crazy what happened to me. So I got put into level 2, and it was actually really cool. I was in an awesome place, but I hated it because I wasn't home. I couldn't go home. I couldn't use my phone. I couldn't play guitar. I was just in a group home with a bunch of dudes. It was a Christian-based group home. So I learned to resent the religion, which I did good. I went through the program and I tried, but I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it just so I could go home. As soon as I got out of that place, I kept smoking weed, knew I was gonna fail. I got put back in. And then I went to a level 3, a place called Natchez Trace. Almost like a military boot camp is kind of the approach that the place had for it. You know, you get up at like 6 every morning. It's all of this extra shit, and like they would get up in your face and yell at you. You really didn't have an individual voice. I don't think that they called us by our names there. We had numbers on our shoes when it was time for us to get our meds. They would call us by our numbers and shit. It kind of sucked. It was almost like a boot camp. So what had happened, I was there, and I had always struggled with some mental health. You know, I was diagnosed with severe depression disorder, anxiety disorder. It was like a generalized anxiety, and bipolar. But everything just, you know, the world crashed on me. I thought that what I had out of life then and where I was in life was all that I would ever have. I lost hope in myself and my peers and in God and in the world. So one night I took, I think it was either a belt or something, I wrapped it around my neck, took it to a bunk, and I just dropped all my weight down. I knew that if I hung myself, I didn't want to break my neck. I wanted to suffocate myself, basically. So I knew that the staff had already done their rounds for the night, and that nobody would come in there for, you know, another hour or so. I wrote my note, I had it in my right pocket, and I was ready to leave this earth. So I dropped all my weight, and I passed out. Woke up, I was on a gurney. I was pissed off, really, because once I woke up, it was just like, I knew what was about to happen. I knew that I had a suicide attempt, I failed, and I'm probably gonna get put in a level 4 because now they all think I'm crazy, which I was. I wasn't like crazy, but I was a danger to myself. But I survived that suicide attempt. I was 17 years old. Yeah, so I got put in a mental hospital for about a week or 2 and got things sorted out with medication and stuff, and I felt a lot better. I got put in a level 4. The level 4 sucked ass. It was terrible. But the thing is that once I was there were a lot of kids there that had charges for like, I wasn't with the kids that had like the attempted murder charges and stuff. They were in another block, but I was in there with kids that were like aggressive, and they would riot and they would turn that place inside out and like tear the fucking TVs off the walls. And I was just like that kid that was really there because I smoked too much weed and would fail drug tests. But I did really good. I flew through that program, and I really started to learn things, and I started to kind of change my ways a little bit. 18 years old, and I was out. I'm ready to get a job. I'm ready to get my life together. I get out and I realize, I think I went to some sort of social event or something, but I realized, what the fuck? I'd spent so much time in a boys' home, away from real like social interactions. I didn't know how to talk to women. I didn't even know how to talk to guys. Really just, you know, feeling insecure, no confidence. So first thing I did after about a couple of months, went and got high. I got high on meth. It's the easiest shit to get around. So I got strung out on meth, but I was off and on with meth pretty bad, and whatever else I could get my hands on. Finally got clean off of meth. I went to a festival in Red Bull Springs, and I had like a really, really spiritual experience there. I kind of just turned away from the hard shit there for a little while. You know, kind of changed up, and I started really focusing back on art and like creativity and music, and I met a lot of cool friends down there, and it's a festival that a lot of huge bonfire, and we celebrate the changing of the seasons and just have a good old time. But there's a lot of cool people there, and it can be really spiritual. But you know, over time, once I went there for the first time, I kind of changed up. But eventually I got pulled right back into hanging out with the wrong people, which was my choice. Before actually the second round of meth, I got like really, really into psychedelics and like party drugs, like on an unhealthy level, like taking obscene doses of LSD and mushrooms and DMT, and like, you know, that stuff is really cool if you use it right, but like I was just like going way overboard with it. So about a year ago, I got into a relationship. It was pretty unhealthy, and I had tried heroin a few times, but I never really liked it that much. I was really more of a drinker at that point. I was just drinking a lot of alcohol. I was in that like toxic relationship for a while, and ended up kind of feeling trapped in that. So really my only escape was heroin. I started to like it a lot, and I started to use it a lot, and never injected. I've never been a needle guy. I would always like smoke it or snort it or whatever. And really, it wasn't all that bad. It didn't pull me nearly to the bad places that meth ever did. So, went to rehab. I was gonna relapse. I did relapse, but I thought I was gonna go down that path again. You know, I thought I was gonna get strung out again and shit. But damn, let's just be sober for a while and let's see how this goes. And let me tell you, it's crazy. It's like, it sucks sometimes because I feel a lot more not able just to turn to drugs for every bad thing that happens. I have to sit and deal with these emotions, happy or sad, and they're intense. They're really intense. And like, you know, it's cool because like, it kind of sounds cliche, but I've found the joy in the little things, and that's what's neat. Like sitting here talking to this camera with my dog sleeping back here, like it just feels so good. Like it feels so good to pop some popcorn, sit down and watch a movie. It almost gives me like a high within itself, just knowing that I'm doing something so wholesome, like sitting down and watching a movie with popcorn, or making a sandwich, or taking my dog for a walk. Whereas I would get that same high from hiding in a bathroom and smoking heroin and nodding out into the toilet or whatever. So that's just kind of where I'm at with my journey with like mental health. And the mental health thing sucks, you know, because I get lonely, so I find myself alone a lot. And you should be able to spend time by yourself and be satisfied, and I do. I spend a lot of time alone and I enjoy it. But just like anybody, you can sit and claim that you can be alone all the time and love every second of it and blah 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 blah, and you're just so healthy, this and that, whatever the fuck. And the thing is, we're human beings, we're made to socialize, and once you spend a week, nobody reaches out to you, nobody says, hey, come see me, or I want to spend time with you. You kind of feel lonely, you kind of feel left out. That's one thing, and it's easy to kind of let that get in your head and like start you down like a downward spiral of, why haven't they invited, or like, where are my friends? Does anybody really care about me? Does anybody love me? And really, honestly, I'm not present enough in other people's lives for me to be one of the people that pops into their heads, because I am distant when it comes down to it. Being alone is one of the things that can cause some issues with me a lot, because I get alone and I overthink. My mind goes on like overdrive, and there I am thinking myself into these holes about like situations that don't even exist, or wondering if I'm good enough, or wondering like what the next step is in my life. And I'm not that, and like nobody's really there for me to like bounce it off of, or bounce ideas off of, or conversate with about these things. So I've kind of resorted to, like I said, art, music, and getting out and just doing shit. Just really like my goals is just like trying to get out there a little more, discover new things, discover new passions, meet new people, see new places. I'm young and I have the world in my hands. I can do anything. I can go anywhere. I have the power to do it all. And I've just recently come to realize that. But right now I'm in a place kind of trying to figure out what's important to me before I just jump into it. What attracts me? What am I attracted to? What do I want to find? What am I looking for on this journey? I'm probably gonna lay down and go to sleep. I might not do anything with this. I might keep it, I might edit it and put it on Facebook and YouTube and stuff, and I might do more. A message for my future self. Zach, this past year, it's been awesome. You're strong. You've learned a lot this year, probably more than you have any other year out of your life. You've dealt with love, hate, heartbreak. You've discovered a lot about yourself. You've discovered a lot about the world around you. You've done things this year that you had never thought that you would ever do. You have more power than you thought you did a year ago. I love you. You probably wish that you could come back and restart from where I'm at right now, but that's what I'm doing. So I'll do my best. I just had a weird ass conversation with myself. You guys ignore that. I'm going to sleep. Good night.